Hi, it's Nell, and I haven't filmed a video in a few weeks. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon. It's about 92 degrees, mid-October, just gorgeous, and I feel like I should have some rock and roll music on. But that's not good for the video that I'm going to do about transplanting my aloe vera pup. This is a pup off of my plant in Santa Barbara. I'll tell you a little bit about that. And it has a pup growing on it. So I'm going to plant it into here, and I'm also going to plant a new baby, which is totally a new thing to me. And this is Opuntia St. Joseph's. It goes by, actually I always call it St. Joseph's, but it's Joseph's coat, or I think the other common name is Irish mittens. So I'm going to plant that cutting into this pot. Stick around. Lots of planting and dirt and soil and amendments coming up your way. And off of this pup, there's another pup coming. But the curious thing about that is the pups are usually attached to the mother plant, but this one is over here, which I've never seen before in a pot. So you and I are going to discover together just how formed the root system is on this baby. So I've already done a video about taking the pup, this pup, off the mother plant, which I left behind in Santa Barbara. That larger aloe vera I had, I just couldn't fit it into the car with all the other. I probably had about 30 plants jammed into my small car, plus me and 2 cats and some other things. So I had to leave that, and I took the pup, which has grown a lot here in Tucson. It loves the heat. I've had it in the shade. It's been in very bright shade, and it's really grown. It's really grown a lot. So I'm going to leave the link to the video about this pup off the mother plant in Santa Barbara down below. And then I've also done a blog post and a video about aloe vera care, and that will be down below, the link down below, or one of them will be at the end card. So, and the links are in there, so you can go from one video to the next. I have to laugh because as gardening goes, this pot just cracked. I was just loosening the pot and it just cracked. These were pots that we got. Actually, I don't think they're really made for exterior plants. We got them for a wedding that we were doing ages ago in San Francisco. So anyway, oh well, I guess I'm not going to be using this pot. But the root system is very well formed on this plant, which makes me happy. So it's going to have no problem adjusting at all. Oops, and this little baby just fell right off. So let's see what's going on here. I'm going to gently pull it away. And there it is. It doesn't have that much of a root at all. It just has one, but it's got one, so it's going to go back in the pot and be planted up with its mother. So this has soil to about here, and I do the old stick test. I already have some soil, some not soil, I have a mix, a succulent cactus mix with a little bit of organic compost in here, and that tells me that I need to put in about 4 more inches of soil to raise it up before I put this plant in. So here is the plant going in. I'm going to leave that sedum that I don't know how that got in there. It just seeded itself in there, I guess. I don't know. Here, going fine. And I think I'm going to need to stake this. I usually stake aloe vera for a month or 2 till it really gets established, because the weight of the leaves pulls the plant over in the light succulent mix. So I brought out this stake for the Opuntia, but I'm gonna use it in the aloe vera. Okay, so I'm just going to finish putting in the mix, and then I'm going to get the baby in there. Here's a close-up on the pup here. It has some root, as you can see there. So as long as your Aloe pup has at least a few inches of root, you know, a couple inches, it should be just fine. I'm just going to put the stake in through here, and that is going to help to hold it up. Well, those roots establish, and they do establish pretty fast. Aloe has a pretty good root system to it. So I'm going to put the pup toward the back. I'm not going to put it right there. I'm going to put it about here. And because it's small enough, I can just dig in this nice little light mix here that I've just so gingerly arranged. As I said, gardening, you just never know. Ah! Stay up there, baby. There we go. I don't want to bury it because it only has that one root on it, so I want some of it to stick. There we go. You're staying up there just fine. And that gives it a little bit of room to grow on its own, but it'll still fill in with Mama really well. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. And aloe grows outdoors here just fine. So don't have to worry about that. So now I'm just going to put a little bit more of this on because the mix will sink down. Here's my worm compost. It's a local worm compost here. And if you've been watching my videos, you know that's what I use to top dress my plants, even my house plants. Well, aloe vera is a house plant a lot of the time, so that's what I use. That's what I use. Oops, gosh. That is what I use instead of fertilizer. Unless it's something like a rose, or if camellias or rhododendrons need something, I will give them a special blend. But otherwise, I'm just a compost girl. I believe that the soil should be good because, after all, the soil is the foundation for the plant. So now my aloe vera has a lot more room to grow, and it's going to go onto the patio off of my living room, which is bright shade. It should do just fine. And the leaves are getting nice and fat, but before I start to harvest it, I like it to get to be a certain size. So it still has some to go, but it's grown so much since it's been here because it loves the heat. And now the little baby is going to grow too. So off you go, and we are going to be on to the Opuntia Joseph's coat. Just want to show you how cool this plant is. It has all this growth that comes off of the side, and it is marbled and variegated, which you can see. And it is one of the very few cactus which has white in it. Isn't that interesting? I love this plant, and I'm going to tell you how I got it. Okay, on to my new baby. And I'm not going to do a video about this because I don't know about this plant yet. It's totally new to me. I went to a nursery here in Tucson called Green Things, and I saw they had a whole table of these, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. And I was talking to the woman about plants, and she said, oh, I've got cuttings in the back. So she gave me this about 2 months ago, and it's just it should be thoroughly healed off by now. But whenever I do a video for you, it's always because I have experience with something. So I'm not going to talk about the care for this, although Opuntias are really easy to care for. You know, they're just not a lot goes into it, and there's not a lot that goes into the potting either, because what this is just straight succulent and cactus mix. I'm not going to put any compost or worm castings in here because I just want it to root. After it gets rooting and it gets transplanted and all adjusted and just fine, then I'm going to hit it with the good stuff. There was some trim left in the garage by the previous owner, and this will work because it's just going to be until the plant gets rooted and it can hold itself up. The stake isn't going to stay in forever. So I've made an indent of about 2 inches in here, now down to 3. I don't want to bury it too much because I don't want the plant to rot out. Of course, it's probably not going to rot out here in the desert, but you just don't want it to be kept too moist. So I'm going to put one in over here, and then I'm going to have to put one in over here. So this is the idea of what I'm going to do, except that I'm going to go in through here. It's not going to look very pretty, but it's going to do the trick. So that's what's going to hold it up, and you want to get it as straight as you can. Although this plant has been, because of the shape of it, I had it on its side, so this growth is interesting. It should be going more up, but it does have that. And I don't know if you can see, but there's little tinges of pink that this plant gets pink, and I don't know if the pink is more in the shade or the pink is more in the sun, but I'm gonna find out. I just have to laugh because this looks so funny from this angle. You're probably thinking, Nell, what are you doing? But it'll be interesting to see what this plant turns into, because this should start to grow up this, and then there's all this growth here. And that's what happens with this plant, is it just gets a lot of this fun arm growth going off the side. All right, so I have my two babies here, and they are going to go into a bright shade. I'm probably going to water them in a day or two. I'm just going to sort of let them settle in a little bit, and then I'm going to give them a good drink. The aloe was fairly dry, so I don't want it to go too long without a nice good drink to it. And again, links to previous aloe posts and videos will be down below for you. And next summer, I can do a video about this plant because it's reportedly grown as a house plant also. If you're a beginning gardener, when you're transplanting plants or potting up, sometimes you don't know what's going to happen. I had that pot crack. It was obviously not fired at a high temperature. It was thin. There is this little thing flying around me. You see, I'm not just fanning myself. I'm trying to get this bug out of the way. But I've had plants that have completely fallen apart. I've had plants that are really hard to get out of the pot, and I've thought that they were going to be really easy. So just keep at it. Gardening is a lot of experimenting, experience, and you just have to be confident that your babies are gonna grow in and do well, because I know mine are. So I'm coming out on the patio off my living room, which I'm greatly enjoying now that it's not over 100 degrees. And there's my 3-headed ponytail palm, which is just loving the heat. Got the burrow's tail growing. And I just wanted to show you where I have the aloe vera. It's on this bright aqua table here. It's nice and bright. It's going to get a little bit of sun, which isn't going to bother it now because it's October. And I put a few green glass chips in it just while the plant fills in, but it'll fill in, and by next summer, I bet I'm going to have to transplant it. By the way, I watered it after 2 days. I just watered it this morning. But it's looking good. I hope you have found this video to be helpful, and I thank you so much for watching. As always, I also thank you for your likes, your comments, and your subscribes. I really appreciate them. And I'm going to take these out to the garden. And speaking of garden, let's get out in the garden and make the world a more beautiful place. I've got lots more videos coming. Stay tuned. Thanks. Bye.